Thank you to my channel members and Ko-fi supporters that make these videos possible. You can also support me by buying a deck tech on my weekly Tuesday and Sunday streams. More info in the video description. Hello everyone. I have a few decks that are stuck never making it to paper. It's really frustrating because I only like doing deck techs for decks that I own and have played. So should I just leave these ideas to rot in Moxfield? Nah, here you all go. These are some of my favorite deck ideas that aren't making it to paper because they either do something too similar to one of my existing decks because of budget, or because I can't see the line that makes them less fragile. Maybe you all can fare better in those regards though. Firstly is a deck revolving around my favorite creature type, Angels. I wanted to build around Imperial Archangel, giving her indestructibility some way, like Avacyn or Sephara, so I could permanently fog the table while I bring them to Angel Beatdown City without fear of crackbacks. Because of her Shroud, you can't sadly use anything like Aegis Angel, but the green helps a lot to get that big mana value out there easily. And honestly, it'd be pretty fun to run a deck that could actually use Angel's Herald to some effect. That being said, there sadly is not a really good bank commander that had me excited for this plan. The closest I got was maybe Helga, but she felt a tad too generic for my liking. It's the same reason I decided not to run Cullen for my Emrakul deck, and landed on Clement the Worrywart instead. So then, I moved on to a different candidate for this Angels deck, Linvala, Shield of Seagate. Ignore her party text, it's not getting activated with my deck. What mainly matters is that she's a selfless spirit in the command zone. With Gift of Immortality, you can sacrifice her for free once each turn. Combine that with Pariah on any one of your creatures and now you no longer can take damage, just like with the Imperial Archangel mentioned earlier. These are both auras, which are easy enough to tutor for in Azorius, but even then there's a lot of redundant effects that are on Angels for this deck. Sarah's Emissary on creatures does the trick, and if you start cloning her, things suddenly become pretty problematic for opponents. My favorite clone for this is, of course, Rite of Replication, but Sarah's Emissary is not the only angel that provides redundancy here. There's also Guardian of the Gateless, that can unironically be good for this deck. Against any creature without trample, this is just as effective as Pariah for combat if you give her indestructible with the Linvala loop, Aegis Angel, Avacyn, or Sephara, but in this instance as well, Gift of Immortality works wonders too. I'd also be remiss not to mention Breathkeeper Seraph, which isn't as effective as the gift, but it fits the Angels theme and it lets you get away with one free chump block with the Guardian of the Gateless, or one free Linvala sack. You can also use Angel of Condemnation in a similar way, chumping with the Angel, then flickering her for a free board-wide block once per turn. Very fun stuff. All of this Angel deck nonsense goes without mentioning Herald of Eternal Dawn as well, which makes herself well at home here. The Monarchy is a great plan in this kind of list to help round out this Angel Pillow Fort strategy, and the sisters Bruna and Gisela feel right at home here. This being said, I already run them in Kellen, which is what makes me a little bit dubious about picking up this list for myself. Speaking of the Monarchy, I've been obsessed with a couple Master of Keys decks sent into my deck review stream recently. I've mentioned it in a previous video and I'll mention it again here. I think I'm low-key in love with Solitary Confinement. I like that it turns Phyrexian Arena into a good top deck. I like that it lets you maintain the Monarchy by using that extra draw as fodder for the discard as well. Basically, once you get 2 extra draws per turn, Solitary Confinement becomes the world's craziest Pillow Fort card. Master of Keys in my mind is the best at doing this by letting you loop enchantments from your graveyard like Omen of the Sea into Enchantress effects, but it can still go in just about any white deck that can run either black or blue. A deck that I would like to see it with is some sort of Solemnity 9 Lives lock deck that also runs my favorite combo of Fractured Identity your own 9 lives, and in response to the lose the game trigger, cast something like Patriarch Scorn to blow up your opponent's copies to make them lose the game first. You'd probably need some amount of stifling in the deck to work as a backup plan, but still, the bones of a deck are here, and I got more ideas I want to cover. Next is a concept of a deck I've had since Duskmourn was first released, and I'm so sad I haven't cobbled together a list for it that I like. Doomsday Excruciator has the ability to be a really unfun card. You can just cast it super early and explode the game you're playing in and then die. It can be the star of a gimmick troll deck like that very easily. What's harder is trying to win with it. My best concept for winning with this silly demon was a deck that focused on self-milling. From there, you could cast the demon, because you need to cast him. You can't reanimate him to get his trigger. And then Foot Bottom Feast, Grave Purge for every young, or use Elixir of Immortality to put your yard back into your library. Then play a hyper-controlling game plan until you deck out your opponents. To cast the Doomsday Excruciator easily, Mortuary Mire, Witch's Cottage, or one of the Grave Purge effects could be used on an already milled Doomsday Excruciator to put it back on top of your library. Then you could use Bolas' Citadel, or the commander I chose for this deck, Nashi, to cast him. It's a very interesting concept for a deck I would really like to make work in the future, but I need some more branching paths from the mono black self-mill plan than just this fragile idea. Chances are that's just Reanimator, but that's not something that particularly interests me for this. I'd want something that meshes better and doesn't overshadow this line. Maybe something like Sir Conrad the Grim to combo with all the Grave Purge effects. Going back to Angels, Rien, Angel of Rebirth, on the surface reads as a worse Liesa Forgotten Archangel, right? Only multicolored creatures? I mean, there's a few that sacrifice themselves well, like Qasali Pride Mage's repeatable removal, Safi and Dauntless Escort as protection, Flage as a buyback 0 lightning helix, but the best part about Rien is the fact that she can run Sneak Attack, which is incredibly powerful for this effect. In white and green, you also get some wicked redundancy for Rien, since you can run Eternal Witness and Ghostwice or Eerie Interlude. This combination of cards lets you permanently keep your sneak attacked creatures by flickering your board and then allowing the ETB of the Eternal Witness to return the Mass Flicker spell to your hand. Not to mention, this doubles as board wipe protection for whatever board state that Godsire shits out or what have you. This is a pretty normal way of playing Rien, but I feel like she's still outshined by Liesa despite having these cooler play patterns. Moving on, Shageki Jukai Visionary is a really stupid Magic the Gathering card. Being able to uncounterably return X cards from your graveyard to your hand at instant speed is mana intensive, but it's ridiculous. When ran with blue, you can traumatize yourself or cut your losses, then pick up Shageki with a regrowth effect, then pick up the Mass Mill spell, a fog, and the regrowth you used with Shageki. Now, when combined with non-creature flash from Kien Corrupted Memory, and the absurdly stupid mana advantage you can get from Seedborn Muse and Wilderness Reclamation, you got an unironically decent mill deck. What I love about the Shageki Traumatized Turbo Fog plan is that the Traumatize is both the win con and the initial engine. My favorite card, Blessed Respite, in this deck is an all-star as well, allowing you to protect your graveyard from even the most uninteractable hate cards like Brajuka Bog or Rest in Peace, while still being a fog. And in blue, you get great graveyard hate for any pesky Shuffle Eldrazi Titan or Muldrotha players in the form of Soul Guide Lantern that can get got by Trinket Mage. This core of the deck is surprisingly budget looking back on it, so it's not impossible I try it out as a bracket 2 sort of budget deck and then go from there deciding whether or not I want to upgrade it. Could be fun, I'll keep you all posted. The last deck I wanted to build but just didn't have the collection for was a Storm deck, but specifically one that could scale well to EDH without going infinite. Malek Izzet Paragon was my undisputed first choice of commander, as I really enjoy top deck manipulation, and Izzet of course gives the best access to Storm payoffs and setups. The way I went around storming off with Melek is relatively simple. The deck packed all the usual rituals, card draw, etc., making sure to run cards like Big Score and Unexpected Windfall to filter that red mana from the rituals into blue, barring the fact that these are also just downright broken spells to copy from the top of your deck with Melek. But how the deck ends is different. Well, partially. I'm sure people understand Elemental Eruption is one of the best finishers for comboless Storm out there, but what many people don't know about, if the Storm decks I see on stream are to believed, is Virtue of Courage. Virtue combines with Gutter Snipe to turn any spell you cast into a draw 6, which then lets you cast another ritual to then draw 6. It also works alongside Sentinel Tower to exponentially draw your whole deck and win with direct damage. A very fun and very satisfying 15-minute turn is in your future if you decide to jam this in your Storm deck. It helps a lot that its floor is a 2-mana shock. And with that, that's all the cool ideas I want to see out in the world. Tell me, are there any cool deck ideas you just can't make work, or that already overlaps with one of your existing decks? Are you going to use any of these in your decks? Let me know down in the comments below, and until next time,